So we got a nice early start this morning at 6:30, just before sunrise. We're going to try leave here by 8. We want to get through the Namibian border post relatively quickly and try and stop to get some meat and stuff in Namibia before the shops close. Sunday in a tiny town in Namibia, everything closes around midday, so we need to get moving if we want to get meat. But Fish River Canyon awaits us, which is going to be insanely beautiful. We thought this is cool. Fish River Canyon is going to be even better, so we need to get going. Another beautiful day. Might get a little bit hot, but I think we're in for a treat.
Today's drive is supposed to be a little bit less intense than yesterday's. Emphasis on supposed to be. Our driving distance is significantly shorter, and this was planned this way on purpose, as we would have to factor in a border crossing from South Africa to Namibia and some dirt roads, the condition of which was a completely unknown factor. We actually had the option to take this road, which is the main border crossing between South Africa and Namibia in the area, and would have put us on a tar road. Ironically, Nicole and I would end up taking neither of these roads, but more on that later. For now, we wanted to soak in our last moments at Augrabies Falls before hitting the road. Back at the camp with our resident Dussie enjoying the sunlight, we do our last bit of packing up and get one last pot of coffee on the stove before hitting the road. The first section of today's drive would take us west on the N14 before turning onto a remote road which would take us down towards the Onseepkans border crossing on the banks of the Orange River. The first portion of the drive was pretty boring, just a long straight tar road through the desert. But we were really looking forward to hitting the gravel for the first time on this trip so far, and we had Gaia GPS to help us plan our route once we leave the highway. There's a new map layer on Gaia GPS called Gaia Overland, and it's extremely useful because it actually it tells you exactly what the road surface is as well. So for example, when doing route planning, I can see, okay, that's a gravel road, or that's a soft sand road, or that's a tar road, and it helps to determine how long it's going to take to drive that section. That's the one thing that you have to keep in mind, is that certain roads take much longer to drive than others. So two roads of the same length may take totally different times to cross, and it's something we have to take into account, but Gaia GPS, very helpful. Okay guys, in about 1.5 kilometers we're going to be turning right. Just going to stop here quickly and film this, it's pretty cool. The Northern Cape is known for its extreme temperatures and clear skies, the perfect place to build a solar farm. We saw quite a few massive solar farms in this area, and while I normally despise seeing natural landscapes spoiled by buildings, I'll make an exception for solar farms. The tar road suddenly disappeared, and I tell you what, it felt great to hit the gravel. This road was relatively well graded, so we could hit the gas and kick up some dust. If you can, switch to 4x4, it will just help with traction and stuff as well. We were now descending down into the Orange River Valley with views of rocky hilltops, dry grass and quiver trees dominating the horizon. We were deep in the Namakwa land, quite close actually to the start of the Namakwa Eco Trail. I don't think I've ever seen so many quiver trees before. It was quite spectacular. An old faded sign points us in the direction of Namibia, labelled as Southwest Africa on this particular signboard, indicating that it was probably erected prior to 1990 when it was still called Southwest Africa. At the bottom of the hill, we arrive at the Onseepkans border crossing. It's pretty clear that this border is not used very often. The border officers looked pretty surprised to even see us here, and it seemed like we may be the first people through here today. Maybe the only people. We were hoping that this would be a quick and easy process, but the officers were feeling particularly thorough on this day and told me that they couldn't let me cross without a cross-border letter from my insurance and bank. So Nicole and I had to watch as our friends crossed over into Namibia, and we were left having to find another way through.
It's funny how you can have everything so perfectly planned out and then you have to just chuck those plans out the window. This is so frustrating. We arrived at the border post, looked like we were right through, and there was a tiny technicality that the border guys wouldn't budge on. Basically, I need a letter from a bank about something, and the banks won't answer their phone. I can't get through to anyone. So essentially, I'm back at square one. We're gonna have to make some phone calls tomorrow morning, try to get some documents, and then try across the border tomorrow. So we've let the other guys go through to tonight's campsite, Fish River Canyon. The sad truth is we are probably not going to get through to Fish River Canyon today, so we're going to have to skip that, and then we'll have a very, very long drive tomorrow to get out to the place that we'll be staying tomorrow. So yeah, really frustrating, but you got to be prepared for the stuff, especially in Africa. You just never know, and we're trying to stay positive and keep a smile on our face. Really disappointing, but let's take it as it comes.
So the original plan was to overnight somewhere nearby, get the documents we needed the next morning, and reattempt the border crossing at the same place. But knowing that this would mean skipping the incredible Fish River Canyon, we decided to take a shot in the dark and drive to another border crossing a couple of hours to the west at Fuelsdrift, in the hope that they wouldn't ask for the same documents. It was a really long shot and a big detour, but a few very stressful hours later, after many prayers and much finger crossing, we arrived at Fuelsdrift, made it through with no hassles, and were finally able to cross the Orange River into the marvelous country of Namibia.
Welcome to the land of meat, is what they tell you when you enter Namibia. So glad we got in here. We were stressing earlier. It's very possible that they might have asked us for those same documents, and it's possible that we might not have been able to get them for a few days, which would mean we'd have to cancel the trip. So very, very relieved, but we've got to make a decision now. We've got another 2 hours to go until we get to our campsite. It would put us there just before sunset, so if we stop to buy meat and food and stuff, then we probably won't be able to see Fish River Canyon in the sunset, which obviously sucks. So I think we're going to just go straight through. I don't mind eating the bare minimum tonight, but seeing Fish River Canyon is definitely on my to-do list, and I think that's a priority. So pedal to the metal, let's get there in time, and let's meet up with the other guys.
The south of Namibia is what I would describe as a beautiful wasteland. There's nothing here, and yet it's such a breathtaking place with so many different colors of sand, rock structures everywhere, and surprisingly good roads. If somebody built a road network on the moon, I bet it would look something like this. We make a left turn onto a gravel road, and this would be the last glimpse of the blacktop we'd see for a very long time. There's one thing you should know about Namibia though. Namibia has some of the best gravel roads on earth. I may even go as far as saying that Namibia's gravel roads are better than South Africa's tar roads. We didn't think the scenery could get much better until we took the turn off to the Fish River Canyon and suddenly saw the ground fall away below us as we found ourselves at the very edge of one of the most magnificent scenes on planet Earth.
Well guys, words can't really describe the scenes behind us. I've been to the Grand Canyon before, and obviously the Grand Canyon is amazing. There's nothing quite like it in the world. But if there was anything that I would say could remind me very much of the Grand Canyon, it would be this. Very similar environment, same colors on the rocks, same scenes of a little river running down the bottom. And as far as I know, this is one of the biggest canyons in the world. I think it might be the second biggest in the world, so very comparable to Grand Canyon. Beautiful scenes here, and I think we've probably got about maybe 45 minutes before the sun sets. So as much as we'd like to just hang around here, we're going to try to find the guys and see where they are, and hopefully come back here, put the camping chairs out and enjoy a nice sunset together at one of Namibia's top tourist attractions.
The Fish River Canyon is the largest canyon in Africa and is by most accounts the second largest canyon in the world. Although it seems that there is some debate about that, as it turns out to be rather difficult to measure a canyon. Where does it officially start and officially end? And how do you actually measure it in the first place? Well, all I can tell you is that it is freaking huge. 160 kilometers long, about 27 kilometers wide, and 550 meters deep, covering an area of almost 6,000 square kilometers. On the eastern rim, there's a tourist center with some really interesting information regarding the geology of the canyon and how it formed, and a shaded viewpoint. What an experience to finally be up here. Our friends, of course, had no idea that we'd actually arrived safely. None of our phones worked here, and there was no way to contact each other. But eventually we bumped into them, and there were hugs all around. We were very lucky to have made it. What better way to celebrate than to park off on the edge of a canyon for sunset and to pull out a few Namibian beers? How's that for a bucket list item to tick off the list?
All the old people at work, they literally say young to me.
We arrive at camp just a few minutes away at Hobas, and preparations for dinner are soon in full swing. With the ladies in charge of food tonight, we are in for a treat. If it were me, I'd just chuck some meat on the fire, but it looks like there's something a little bit more interesting in store for us tonight. That leaves the guys with little more to do than to make some coffee and set up the tents.
So we're doing a very gourmet meal. We've got some naan bread here made from scratch, and then best of all, we've got some sambals, some fresh cucumber and tomato, and then the piece de la resistance is our butter chicken curry. I don't know if you want to come and look in the pot here, which Nicole has been making for us, and gotta say, the best part about this butter chicken is that the meat is sourced from Namibia, where you get world's best meat. Ideally we would have liked like some free range, like beautiful chicken, but the best we could do was some of ShopRite's flash frozen chicken portions, which were lovingly cut off the bone. A little bit dodgy, but we'll see if we survive tomorrow. Hopefully we have some good ablutions just in case things get bad. Jokes not jokes, eh?
With dinner complete and another long day on the road wrapped up, we all gather around the table and are extremely thankful to all be together. We could have easily been sitting on opposite sides of the border right now. This meal will go down well, and we'll hit the hay once again, ready for another early start tomorrow.